talking to you. I'll be talking about controversy. I'll be doing a controversy analysis of nuclear power. The aim of my analysis was to develop an understanding of both of the historical background and both sides of the debate, and along with to analyze implications such as the social implications, the environmental, the public health, and the economic implications. The historical background of nuclear power is that in this graph, this shows the greatest increase between the 1970s and the 1980s. So the nuclear power output and net generation of the planet was drastically increased. This graph shows the regional distribution of nuclear plants across the planet, with currently America, with North America and Europe leading it with the most current operating nuclear power plants, but while Far East Asia has the most planned to be built nuclear power plants. This shows all the nuclear plants that are currently under construction as of 2012, with China and Russia leading the pack at 28 and 10. This was very significant because of the disasters at Chernobyl and Fukushima. For example, Germany shut down every single one of the nuclear plants after the Fukushima disaster because they realized how unprepared they were for a nuclear disaster of that capacity. The argument supporting nuclear power is that it is more cost-effective to run the nuclear plants than any other power source besides wind. It also produces no greenhouse gases in the generation of the energy, and produces more energy for the same amount of fuel than other fuel sources. The argument against nuclear power is the nuclear waste and material proliferation, which would severely pollute the environment, the ground, and the water around it. The national security concerns for the meltdowns, which would destroy the environment. The potential accidents, which would lead to radiation contamination, which would lead that area to be uninhabitable for like tens of thousands of years. And the high cost of money to build the plants in the beginning. So the font was... The stakeholders who support nuclear power are the World Nuclear Association. They don't affiliate themselves with any known government organization, and they try to represent the nuclear industry on a global scale. A significant person to advocate is Bill Gates. He is working with a company called TerraPower to develop a new kind of reactor that is safer. The U.S. Regulatory Commission also tries to educate the general public on the benefits of nuclear power and that it is safe. The stakeholders who oppose nuclear power is Greenpeace. They are trying to fight for ecosystem stability, and they see that nuclear power is a threat to all of that because of the potential for nuclear meltdowns. A significant dissident in New York State is Governor Andrew Cuomo. He wanted to shut down every single nuclear reactor we had in New York State, and we have just about 6, which produces 30% of our power. And if that did go through, we'd have major blackouts across the state. And the type of companies that oppose it are the solar, wind, and geothermal companies. The nuclear industry and the renewables industry aren't really working together to produce a greener future for the planet. They're kind of competing against each other to try and get a leg up on the other. The economic implications is that nuclear power is cost effective to produce, and it gives more power for the same amount of money for the same amount of fuel as other fuel sources. The downside is the cost of the storage of the nuclear waste, which is huge. There was just a shutdown of the nuclear storage facility in Pennsylvania because someone used kitty litter in the nuclear storage bin, and that's going to cost a couple $2 billion to fix. But the other downside is the immense startup costs for a nuclear plant. It costs, the most recent estimate that I found was it was between $12 and $18 billion to start one up. The environmental implications is that there has to be a proper disposal of the radioactive nuclear waste. If there is not a proper disposal, then the contamination of the area around it would give everything bad not karma. listen. It would give everything cancers and mutations. The mining of uranium, if it's not mined properly, it can leak into the surrounding earth and pollute that soil, which would cause the plants around it to come out all messed up, and no one likes messed up plants. And the potential for the exposure to nuclear waste, which would give any animal or persons around it cancer and their offspring any mutations. The social implication is that nuclear power affects the employment levels. Nuclear plants need people running it, and those people spend years upon years of going to college studying to work at a specific nuclear plant. And if those nuclear plants shut down, it will get rid of all the power generation, and we'll have to turn to fossil fuels for that, and it will also get rid of all those people's job opportunities that they spent years of their lives trying to study for. The risk perception has also increased over the past years because of Chernobyl and Fukushima, and because of the massive disasters. No one wants to be around it in case it does go wrong. But the opposition and the support for it varies depending on the group of people that are surveyed, because of like the time that they're surveyed and the group of people, like groups of peoples is not a word. Different group of people have different viewpoints, so they don't really get a rock hard solid fact on what their survey tells them. Some new developments is that Bill Gates and TerraPower, as mentioned previously, are developing a new reactor that can use the spent nuclear fuel of previous plants and to use as its own fuel to run. And as of right now, they're hypothetically predicting that that same fuel rod can last for 60 years compared to the 6 years of the plants that are currently running today, which would give the same amount of waste, but it would be spread out over a longer period of time, which would give the waste researching companies more time to figure out a way to properly store the waste. My personal recommendation is that I originally thought that nuclear power was generally good, but it only had a few faults. Now, I still support nuclear power, but I see that the major faults that it has in the waste disposal and stuff like that. Does anyone have any questions?